With the US election coming up, one thing that I wish we would talk more about is the public policy that Donald Trump has put forward that I would argue both Democrats and Republicans would agree on. And his ability sometimes to strike a more moderate tone in policy is something that's just not talked about enough. And the best example I have of this is Trump highlighting the United States contributions to NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, because the United States puts forward anywhere from 3.5 to 4% of its GDP to the NATO budget, which dwarfs the other members. So this is Trump speaking in his first term to NATO, and this was, I found, really interesting. Here we go.
Well, I have to say, I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia. And I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%, whereas the United States, in actual numbers, is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. So I think that's inappropriate also. We're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect. Now, this has been going on for decades. This has been brought up by other presidents, but other presidents never did anything about it because I don't think they understood it or they just didn't want to get involved. But I have to bring it up because I think it's very unfair to our country. It's very unfair to our taxpayer. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period. They have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem. I don't think it's fair to the United States.
I think it's really interesting to see Donald Trump say that because, again, it's very much aligned with the Make America Great Again, the kind of building up the national economy, standing up for the United States in the world stage. But it's also not unique to Donald Trump. In fact, President Obama also raised this as an issue in his second term as president. Here we go.
Tough love. If Europe wants security, it will have to spend more on defense.
The situation in Ukraine reminds us that our freedom isn't free. And we've got to be willing to pay for the assets, the personnel, the training that's required to make sure that we have a credible NATO force and an effective deterrent force.
So you can see from even the Democrats' perspective in 2014 when Russia annexes Crimea, the thought of the United States supporting NATO to the level that it has been was a question for Democrats. And this goes back, to Dwight D. Eisenhower, George H.W. Bush, I believe, Ronald Reagan. Many presidents have raised the United States over contributing to Europe's defense. The question is as to why that continues to happen despite these criticisms that are being raised. I will say a direct result of Trump's remarks in his first term, I think, shifted Germany's energy policy because as of January 2023, and someone in the comments call me out on this, but I do believe that Germany has now diversified its energy exports away from Russia as a result of the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. And so Germany is now getting its liquefied natural gas from Norway and other parts of the world, the United States, etc. But what's interesting there is that Russia has the largest known reserves in the world of liquefied natural gas, based on a 2014 study. I'm certain that Canada, my country, probably has a lot of liquefied natural gas that is yet to be fully explored and could probably give Russia a run for its money, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But because Russia is the largest world exporter of liquefied natural gas with the largest known reserves, Russia just goes to other markets. It goes to other periphery markets. It goes to not only China, but it's also making deals with Central Asian regions. And I wouldn't be surprised, specifically with Turkey, that Russia could be exporting liquefied natural gas to Turkey, who could then re-export that to Europe, because Europe's demand for liquefied natural gas is continually increasing. And so while the Ukraine invasion certainly has hurt Russia from that lens, I'm certain that Russia, because it's the kingpin when it comes to liquefied natural gas, is finding other markets for its product. There will always be a market for liquefied natural gas, and it's just a matter of finding it and building the infrastructure to send LNG that way. So all of this to say that Trump does strike a moderate tone on some public policy that Democrats and Republicans and every politician of all aisles would agree with. I can't see a politician rising to prominence in the United States that would say, you know what, we should continue to spend more of our GDP on the defense budget for NATO. And I think it's just the Overton window, the political winds are shifting. I think people are less concerned with war and conflict outside the United States, especially when the cost of living is so much higher for the average consumer inside the United States. And so, interesting question for you. Would love to know what you think. Why is it so difficult for us to talk about the moderate policies that Trump puts forward, the moderate ideas that Trump puts forward, that aligns with both Democrats and Republicans? I understand the media narrative, of course, but we as a civil society have to remind ourselves of these policies, because I think that's better for us to be talking about than, whatever the media is telling us to. So interesting to hear your thoughts. I'd be interested more to hear why you think we're not talking about these moderate policies when it comes to Donald Trump. But let me know what you think. Comment section below.